Congratulations to Coach Tom Lucas and the St. John's Country Day Spartans. They are state champions for the first time in school history in baseball, and what a pleasure it is to welcome on the head coach of the state champion St. John's Country Day Spartans. Coach Tom Lucas joins us, state champion head coach. What does that mean to you?
I like the sound of that. That sounds really good. So
Coach,
a lot of
yeah, that
work.
a lot of hard work went into that. Tell me about the feeling when you guys were able to capture that thing this week.
A lot of relief. A lot of happiness for the guys. I've been on the other end of it twice, going down there and losing twice, and to get to experience that and just to kind of sit back and watch teenage boys, just celebrate, like they're still little kids. That was very enjoyable for me. Something that I'll never forget.
The game had a pretty wild inning, a drop third strike. Connor Osteen scores from third. Take me through that moment. And when Connor scored at the plate, that had to be a pretty awesome feeling.
Yeah, it was a back and forth game. I mean, we had, we're up 3-0, then they cut it 3-1, go to the seventh inning. We're 2 outs away and they tie it up. And then we had a chance, runner on third. In the bottom of the seventh inning, we can't push that run across. We go to the eighth. As the game went on, they had made a couple changes. They ended up pinch hitting for their catcher early in the game. Then they did it again in the seventh, and that meant in the eighth inning that they ended up having to move their second baseman to catcher, and that was something we noticed. They were throwing a lot of breaking balls, and we got one of the relievers had a really good split finger, which we don't see a lot of in high school, and the catcher was having trouble catching it. To be honest with you, watching in warmups of that eighth inning, he was having a lot of trouble catching that. So something that we noticed. We got leadoff on. We were going to bunt him over. Hunter Rogers, our starting catcher, got the bunt down, and then the backup catcher, and then threw that away. So now we're sitting there with second and third. Do we squeeze? Do we not squeeze? And he's not throwing a bunch of strikes, and so it's kind of hard to squeeze when he's not throwing strikes. And bunting a split finger is kind of tough at that too. So we got the first pass ball, and the runner saw it late, but then the dugout yells, yes, yes. And so then he ends up going after he had stopped and he gets thrown out, so now we've been thrown out at the plate. Now Connor, went from second to third on that play. And then they're infield in, the hitter's in a two-strike count, and they throw that same split finger pitch. And I mean, there's not a lot of catchers who caught it. I mean, it dropped 3 feet and he whiffed it, and Connor Osteen got a great read on it. So we get the rare state championship walk off with a swinging drop third strike pass ball. But we'll take it any way we can get it.
Take it any way you can get it. The championship counts all the same. Three straight walk-off victories to win a state championship, and that's pretty amazing.
Man, I tell you, and I mean, I felt them. I mean, it was extremely stressful. Before I left the morning in the hotel, I turned to my wife and I said, "Man, can we just get one of those where the other team just has a bad day and
Mm.
just they're walking the house, or they just give you so many things, and it's just one of those easy ones because these hard walk off ones are so stressful." And I think I turned to her in the seventh inning and I said, "Well, I guess we're not going to get one of those." And but yeah, the guys, they just didn't panic. I mean, we were down in the regional final, down one, hit a home run to tie it. Then George Gilson hits that two-run home run to walk it off. Then you go down there to the final four. I mean, it's the bottom of the seventh. You're down one. There's 2 outs and there's nobody on. I mean, we don't have a base runner, and you need a run. Now we did have the top of the lineup, but they never blinked. I mean, when they came off the field in that Final Four game in the seventh inning, they said they don't know about St. John's in the seventh inning. Is what all the guys said, and they believed. And to me, that's 90% of the battle is just not giving up. Until that last out is recorded. So it was no different yesterday. They were up. You think you got the state title, they punch you back and tie it, and there was no panic.
You guys have had some really good teams that have come up short. You've been runner up twice. You've been to the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years. You've had some really good teams that didn't win it. What was it about this team that was able to come through and win it this time?
Well, and I think all the teams, I mean, this probably, I mean, is one of the most talented teams we've had, but maybe not the most talented team. You need a little bit of luck. the way the state of Florida is set up, you're playing one game, win or lose, go home. It's not a series, unlike Georgia. And so us as coaches, a lot of times that's what we kind of complain about is let's go to a 3-game series where we think the better team is going to advance from that. So we just had some good, breaks, and the ball bounced our way. They hit some balls really hard yesterday, right at guys. We hit some balls really hard that got by guys. And then we took advantage of some opportunities that they gave us. But a lot of times you need a little luck on your side, on something like that. So, to me, that's what it really comes down to. There was a couple balls that bounced our way, and probably, if you pinpointed anything, is just how tough this team was. I've been on some of these teams that didn't get there and they panicked a little bit, or they some negativity might have creeped in. And we talked about that all year. Is remember last year, when we got down in the first inning, how people were throwing their gloves, and it was first inning. So I mean that was something that we talked about a lot of times. That's kind of my job as a coach, is preparing for that, and they responded this year.
Something that I thought about so much yesterday when you guys won that thing, to do it over a South Florida school, a Miami school in particular. I mean, that is so huge for the Northeast Florida area, for a Jacksonville school, a Northeast Florida school, to beat a Miami school from South Florida to win a state championship. I mean, you can't understate how big that is.
Yeah, that was a very talented team, and yeah, you're right. I mean, hats off to them. But anytime you match up with a South Florida team, um, those are very tough guys. Crazy athletic. I mean, just a phenomenal hitting team. I mean, what our starting pitcher did to give us what he did was, just we watched them the 2 days before, and I mean, they hit everything that was thrown up there, and so we were just hoping we could try to score 5 or 6 and hold them to maybe 4. But for him to hold them to just one run, for the start, that was amazing.
Final moment or two here with Tom Lucas, the head coach of the St. John's Country Day Spartans. They won the 2A state championship yesterday over Miami Christian 4-3 in extra innings. It took an extra inning effort for you guys in 8 innings to get a state championship trophy to bring back home to the 904. I want to ask you about that. What does it mean to bring a state championship back home to the 904?
It means all the world. I mean, to bring it back to Northeast Florida, I mean, it's something that I preach, something that I believe in, that some of the best baseball is played right here in our area. I'm heavily involved with the travel, and we go all over the country and see these different areas. But I firmly believe that, this is, one of the rich areas. You got a poster right behind you of a legendary player, Chipper Jones, that
Yep.
played baseball here at Bowles. But I grew up. I played high school baseball at Forest High School. Know a lot of guys who grew up and played here, and to bring it back to Northeast Florida, it's tough. I mean, it is really tough to win baseball state championships in the state of Florida, and then to be the first one ever to do it in Clay County was something that we talked about. We told our kids, you've got the opportunity, to leave a legacy that you'll remember for the rest of your lives. You'll take your kids, you'll be talked about when the next one that's won, they'll say, this is the second one. The first one was St. John's Country Day. And so that just an amazing feeling and a lot of pride in bringing this back to Jacksonville.
What does that mean in particular to be the first one in Clay County to win a state title in baseball?
It was really shocking. I think when I got hired and then we heard that, I mean, because I just knew, I mean, back when I was in high school, we lost to Orange Park High School. Every year I was in high school, they beat us in the district championship, and you had to win the district championship back then to go to the playoffs. So we never went. And I remember Middleburg teams that were loaded, and then Clay High School and
Yeah.
the powerhouse teams that they've had, and Fleming Island. There's been some really phenomenal Clay County teams. So that was something, that was kind of surprising, and then something that our kids took a lot of pride in, that they've been wanting to do. That's something that'll never be able to get taken away from them, as being the first.
How do you describe the feeling of winning a state championship?
Um, there's not one feeling. I mean, it's just so many different emotions. When you've been there 3 times, probably the first one is just the relief. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
finally, to get the monkey off your back. It's tough when you lose them, just it's tough, to be around young men and to have that conversation. So relief for those guys, but just a lot of pride in my guys. Getting them to accomplish something. A good buddy of mine is Jeff Lagerman, who does,
Yeah.
played for the Jags and does their broadcast. And he's talked to the team several times over the last 10 years. He sent me a text as I was driving back, congratulating me. And he had won a state high school baseball championship. Not a lot of people probably know that. And he told us the story one time when he came. But he sent me a picture yesterday, and they just celebrated the 40th anniversary of him winning that. And said, they still talk about that, that many years later. That's how special this is going to be. And just thinking about that with my guys, in 25, 30 years of them guys getting together and talking about this and hoping that I'm alive and I get to share in that memory as many times as we can talk about it. Just a very, very special thing.
You'll never forget it. I mean, those kids, we talked about that with George. I mean, now you won a state championship. It's awesome to see what George did, those walk-offs that he had, but now you've won a state title, and now, those kind of things you'll remember forever. And, last point I'll ask you about, I'm glad you mentioned Jeff Lageman, because I've known him for a long time too. Colt Myers and Brett Myers, the symmetry between those two, Brett winning a state championship 25 years ago, and now Colt wins one with you guys.
Right. Yeah. That was we talked about too. And I told Cole that before we went down there. And that's I think Brett was on the last, public school to win one in our
Englewood.
area. And then told Colt, I said, you can make history too. You could be on the team, the very first Clay County team ever to win one. And, leaving a legacy is something that we talk a lot about here at St. John's. We feel like we've kind of built this program and established it as one of the best in the country. And every class that comes in wants to leave it a little bit better than the last class. And this 2024 class has got something on all of them that nobody else can say.
Absolutely. Coach, I really appreciate a few minutes of your time this morning. Where's that trophy? Wait, I saw it in the front seat. Yeah, let's see the trophy. Let's see.
Trophy's right here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to having that sitting shotgun with me for 10 years now. So that was a great ride home.
Coach Tom Lucas from St. John's Country Day. He's holding the trophy as we speak, a 2A state champion this week in Fort Myers, 4-3 over Miami Christian, a North Florida school beating a South Florida school for a state championship. I'm so fired up for you guys. Congratulations, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Gibby. Appreciate you.